Hey guys, welcome back. It is the third episode of the Kyle Hartman Project. It's Tuesday morning where I live. I'm not sure what time it is whenever you're going to be listening to this, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you all are enjoying the beginning of your week. I have some, a couple good things to put out for you guys on this episode. A lot of the feedback I started to get early on about the podcast related to what I was doing to be able to put out a podcast, how I got started doing a podcast, some of the apps that I use, things like that. And so that's obviously what I intend to do along the way, is to answer as many of you guys' questions as possible throughout the podcast. And so this is what we're going to start off with on the episode here. Now, after we go into kind of how I'm starting and things like that with the podcast, there's a lot of things I also want to update you guys on as well. And so I'm really looking forward to putting out some things just over the course of the week. I do a lot of work for other things as well as the podcast, and things are just starting to really grow and build at a rapid pace. And, I'm just very excited to be able to share that with you guys. So I hope you all really, really do enjoy listening to these. So for any of you guys that want to know a little more about what I'm doing to get a podcast out there to the world, it's very scary. I'll just put it out there. I mean, it's very hard to just go out on a whim and commit to something that you're telling the world, hey, I'm going to be doing this every single week. And then you have to take into consideration any issues you may have with technology. There's a lot. So I know it's going to be hard for anyone that thinks they want to do it. It's going to be tough to just take that leap. And so I hope this helps you a little bit, if anything. I am financially just not in a position to just go buy anything I need to progress right now. For the podcast, for anything else I want to do for my business, anything. So I'm using my smartphone. I don't have an iPhone, so if you're an Apple user, I feel like this could help you a lot because, Apple has a lot of similar functionalities and a lot of the similar programs that I probably use, if not something very relative. So I have an LG. It's a smartphone. It's an Android. It operates the same as, a Samsung, things like that. And so I just record my podcasts live directly through an app called KineMaster. It's K-I-N-E Master, all one word. So download that. From there, I'm not going to give you a tutorial on how to use it because this is only my third episode. I'm still brand new to it. So all I know is you can edit pretty well on there. The only downside is it's very difficult if you want to edit your audio. So for me, I just go off the whim. For now, it seems to be okay. Once Hartman Media is a full-fledged business, I will be able to, have somebody do that for me, I think. So it's all just a waiting game for that. But that is what I really use for the podcast. That's it. I have other apps that I've downloaded that I'm building content on. If you want to know more about those, get a hold of me, message me. I can give you some info on, how to get started building your own content. Or you can just get with Hartman Media, and we'll do that for you. So that's really it. That's kind of like, I wanted to make it seem like it was going to be a big, long process for, how to start. But you can literally just do this from your smartphone. Morning coffee. That's where it's at. I want to hear about how everyone's weekend went. Let me know how your weekends went. I also had a bit of good feedback for how I'm going to close most of my episodes. So this is kind of neat. I think what we're going to do, I'm just going to really pull a quote that, I think really has helped me along my journey. And then, I'm going to incorporate it into the podcast episode. And so one really, really big thing that I've been wanting to talk about all week, I even mentioned it a little bit when I went live, is just having a vision. I could tell you to go download 400 different programs to start a podcast. but I'd be failing you completely if I didn't tell you you wouldn't make it if you didn't see a very clear vision of what you wanted it to become. I would tell you to try to find that vision and then, start making podcasts. I wanted to start a podcast over a year and a half ago. It was more of a blog/vlog at the time, but I knew I wanted to do it. I knew exactly how I was going to do it. Not exactly how, I guess I should say. I just knew that I was going to be putting out some form of content faster and faster, more and more and more over the course of the next, year, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I don't plan to stop. I plan to just only be putting out more and more as time goes on. The only reason I don't put it out more now is because I still have to have a full-time career. I still have, I just moved to California, so I'm still really just getting adjusted to, my full-time life still. But I am making all the extra time that I can in my life to accomplish this vision that I have. And this vision continues to grow, continues to change. It's scary, but it's really been carrying so much motivation for me that it's just something that I know it's not going to stop anymore. So that's one thing I really encourage you guys to do, is if you have something you're passionate about, really start trying to just create, a second life, if you will, that is just dedicated towards accomplishing those goals that you have set in place to make that dream come true. Like, once you really start forming the habits that you naturally will form by just accomplishing, that mission, like if you stick to that vision, everything else, I promise you, will fall right into place where it needs to. You won't lose anything you were afraid of losing before. That vision will then soon become a reality. There will be times, where it's going to be hard. There's going to be times where you're going to feel like, you've been living in a fantasy for like the past couple months, and you're like, dang, I should snap back to reality. But that's where you got to really check yourself and be like, no. If I keep doing this, if I'm just persistent enough, and I take time and I have patience is huge. You have a whole nother lifetime to live. If you're a 20-year-old, you have like 3 more lives to live at least of the lifetime you just lived. Think about how much time that really is. I mentioned that in my first episode. I'm going to say it forever. You guys don't have to give up anything. I don't want to hear any excuses from anybody that says like, oh, I should do this, or I had this idea, or I want to do this. If you're not acting on it, I can't really take that serious anymore, because I've found that there's so much time in the world. You just have to really change how you live. I mean, if you're spending 5 hours a day on social media and you're not profiting from that, if you will, if you're not building content that is forming some form of return for you and giving something to the people that are reading it and looking at it, why wouldn't you spend the equal amount of time putting that energy into something that you're passionate about or something that you're trying to build? If you're a clothing label and you're posting selfies of yourself every single day, but you're not posting selfies of yourself in your freaking clothing, like, you're not gonna make it, man. I'm sorry. And if you don't have time for stuff like that, that's where companies like Hartman Media come into play. And that's why I'm jumping on that bandwagon, because there's not a lot of companies like that right now. And I just read an article last night. One of the companies that I idolize, charges clients $25,000 a month for their base package for the services that basically Hartman Media is providing and will continue to provide for artists, musicians, businesses, brands, personalities, athletes, you name it. And that's where my excitement and my drive and my motivation really comes in. That's where I can have the energy to just sit down and form up business plan after business plan for this Hartman Media and strategize. I'm playing chess with life right now, and it feels so good. And I love chess. So if anybody out there that hears this, if you guys ever want to challenge me to a game of chess, I would love to sit down and talk to you while we play some chess. All right, so looking over my notes, we have a lot coming up as far as guests on the show. I really don't like talking about what we're going to be talking about until it happens. That would take away from the next episode. That would take away from when they sit down and talk to me, things like that. And so really, what I want you guys to do is just try to form that vision this week. I want you also to focus on try not to live for the weekends. You know, I went back to working Monday through Friday, and it kind of was hard to adjust to because I really don't like sitting for the weekend. It just really knocks me out of routine. It makes me tired on Mondays, you know, the normal. And so what you guys should do, and what I'm going to try to do as well, is stop living for the weekends. Start fulfilling each day with nothing but, you know, what you want, what you need to make it through the week. Yes, you'll be tired. I promise you, your body will be tired. But when you get a routine 7 days a week, and it's not, you don't have to do what everyone else does. You know, I don't work out daily. It's something that I really want to do, but right now I'm just at a point in my life where I have to play to my strengths, and one of my weaknesses is working out. I can run, it just isn't going to fit in a routine because it's only got to be when I really feel like it. And that's the God's honest truth. So that's one thing you guys can do, is just really start being blunt with yourselves. Don't let working out ruin your routine. If you can't fit working out in your routine right now, just work on building your routine first, however you got to do it. Just make sure it's 7 days a week, and make sure you're starting to get up at the same time every day and try to go to bed at decent times every night. I promise you it'll change your life. You don't have to change any other habits in the world. Just get on a good schedule. Start there at the bare minimum. That's one big piece of advice I can really give. I know I'm not a subject matter expert at a lot of things yet, and I haven't proven anything yet. So one thing I can do is just tell you guys where I'm at in my life and how things have changed for me. And so that's one thing I really want to push you guys, is just try to stop living for those weekends. It'll really change your mindset come Monday, Tuesday, you know, even through the week. It carries. So I'd say about Saturday, Sunday, I am dead tired because I work the hardest on the weekends. But I do that, you know, in that effort to make sure I'm not slacking on those couple days. I don't know. I'm not one to think of taking time off anymore. I'm always trying to fit as much as I humanly can into what little space I have to work with. So for instance, with some of these trips that are coming up for Hartman Media, the Los Angeles trip, I bunched up as many people as I could, went to one central location that, you know, I could tag that had thousands and thousands of people, and then incorporated just as many different strategies as possible into the one event, instead of just me taking a weekend trip to Los Angeles and posting it on Snapchat. You know what I mean? So that's what I want you guys to start thinking about. Getting on a rhythm, having this vision. Always, always, always appreciate your progress. Ronnie Jackson touched on that this last week, and that is huge. Always appreciate where you're at. Look how far you've come, and don't worry about the negative in the past. If you find yourself starting to worry about the negative in your past, You need to start really looking at where you're going in the future instead. Don't worry about shit in the past, please. Always appreciate your progress. You guys have all come so far. You have to give yourselves more credit. All right, so I'm looking at the time. Oh, it's like 16, 17 minutes, I think. So that is not bad. I want to put out this end of the show quote for you guys, basically. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything before I leave you guys with a third episode. I'm really, really excited for some things to come. I am going to be pursuing different investments in the next year. I would say in about a year, I'm going to be pursuing investments for Hartman Media to start an established company where I can provide the full services that I want to provide to these customers, and then, turn it into a legitimate professional service. In the meantime, though, Hartman Media is going to represent anybody that wants to be a part of it. Once Hartman Media becomes a bigger business, the people that were on board from the beginning will still be a part of Hartman Media. There's no worry there. So don't think that this is something that I'm just using everybody as a stepping stone. That's not how it works. I just do not have the time to quit my full-time jobs or the money to invest in Hartman Media myself. I have to find ways to create a business to where I can hire people to do the services that I would normally do myself, but on a larger scale. Look at some of the Super Bowl commercials for some of the bigger companies right now. Those are being done by, modern day social media companies. But then these companies are also benefiting from their, I would build anything from like Snapchat filters and daily Instagram content, things like that, all the way up to like video production, music videos. Then on the flip side of that, we would also strategize and form business plans on what markets for you guys to push out to. So all the content we build for you, who are we sending it to? How are we getting it out? What kind of eyes are seeing it? We're going to get all the data. You guys would be blown away if you really knew how much public data was out there for anybody to use. And so that's the direction things are going to head. We really want to push that we're going to represent like athletes and musicians are going to be huge, because that's one market I've researched that it just hasn't been tapped into yet. So I'm going to leave it there. So I talked a lot about vision, and one guy that I've really just started looking into a lot of what he had to say back in the day, Henry Ford. His quote that I want to put out there for you guys today is, obstacles are those frightening things you see when you take your eyes off of your goals. Obstacles are those frightening things you see when you take your eyes off your goals. So there again, just stay the course, see it, and I promise you will believe it, and I promise it'll become real. It'll become real because it'll be real to you. It'll eventually evolve into a reality. You just cannot take your eyes off the ball. So I hope you all enjoy your week. Let me know what you think of this episode. If anyone wants to be on the show, I have more and more people that are getting involved. I'm super excited to bring them on. A lot of people, it's going to just be a simple phone call. I'm going to record both of us on speakerphone. And I don't care about the quality anymore. I really don't. So it's just going to be more about really telling these stories. They're going to be raw. It's going to be raw content. It's going to be nitty gritty. I'm excited to share it with you guys. I can't wait to share the progress of Hartman Media with you guys. I can't wait to show you guys some of the people I'm going to be approaching for business. I'm going to be approaching some seriously big whales in the industry to try to get investments. And I'm just not afraid anymore. So it should be an exciting trip. I hope you guys follow me along the journey. I can't wait to see where it goes. Even though in my head I already know where it's going to go because I have that vision. And also remember patience and appreciate your progress. All right, have a good week. Let me know what you think. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.